All right, well, we're going to work on the rear axle now. This is a GM 8.6 is what they call it. And I've already got the tires off, the brake calipers, you know, all the boring stuff. Got the goo out of the differential here. But I do, I need to mark these caps. Got to do that. So before I take it all the way out, gonna snug that up. Let me go get a thing to mark these. Hold on. Hold on. So. Single dot, because I'm at the top, that means that's up, and single dot is left. I'm going to go over here, do a double dot. And these caps could be marked, I don't know, but I got a double dot here, and then I'm going to go over here. And just let myself know that this is the other side. So those are permanent marks there. Hey, not going on. Well, got really deep. That's easy as that. So I got left and I got right. Doesn't matter. It's dot and double dot. So no left, right. Passenger, driver, all that confusing stuff. Now, so this is a Detroit locker, which is what it looks that way. Let me get some towels. This thing's a little dirty. So, now, C-clips, there's a door here, and what I saw on the internet, that's an Allen head. The Allen head is what's holding the door in. Oh, look at that. You know, I'm going to do that here. Take this glove off. And I think it only goes in one way, but oh my. Doubt that. So, you know, this is the thing about phones, boys. Such value now. It goes in like that. Very good. All right, capture. I'm curious. Oh yeah. So you could put it in wrong, but you'd have to force it. And as you see, take it out with a magnet, don't have to force it, it's easy. Clean it off, put it on the benji bench. Go. Just so I don't mess that bolt up, I want to make sure I take it all the way out, because I'm going to have to be prying on this thing to get it out of here. The last thing I want to do is bend the bolt, mess up the threads. Come on. Yeah. There you go. That's it. There, that was a, shoot. These aren't metric either. It was a quarter for a quarter. What do you know? How'd you go put the magnet in there? Oh, shit. Okay. You don't need needle nose. You just need enough room and a magnet. Live and learn. Now I know I need needle nose. Just need enough room. Don't try to do it any other way, just a magnet. But you do need to put that clamp over there, and it gives it just that skosh more room you need to get it out of there. So should be able to do, take that off. Okay. Very good. Wow, I like that. So I think I got to do a little more disassembly. Actually, that'll just come out, I think. Anyway, stand by. We're gonna figure this one out too. Like I said, new territory for me. All right, didn't take me long. Little crowbar, just kind of in there and just pull. And that outer seal is pretty tight. And then once it broke the seal, it just started coming out. You know, this shaft is huge until it gets to the differential. I mean, this thing is, it's ginormous. And then it's machined down. Holy cow. Holy cow. Oh yeah, this all looks new here. Hold on. I'll move you over here. Okay. There it is. Success. So there's a seal here and a bearing in here. I know I'm gonna have to get a bearing puller for this. I don't have that. Little key that flips in there and then it flips back, and when it on, then you use a slide hammer, just pulls everything out. So I'll order that, and I've got some other stuff I need to order. So now I just got to figure out how to get that differential out of there, and gonna have to figure that one out. So stand by. I'll let you know how to get it out when I figure it out. All right, it's out. It's on the ground, and boy, it really surprised me. So it didn't have the preload like the front Dana 44. I mean, that thing, you know, it took some effort, but yeah, I mean, just a little pull from my crowbar here. I mean, a little. I mean, I was like getting ready to go, and it just exploded on me. And fortunately, I was able to catch it before it went down. So I was surprised. And look at these shims. How thick they are. So I wrote P on it, cleaned it up for passenger, and a D on it for driver, so I know which side goes which. And that's all they had for shims. That was it. Like crazy. So now the pinion's got to come out. What if it's just going to fall out? I don't know. But I think this is about it for today. This is about as far as I wanted to go. Wow. Because tomorrow I want to go through the ring and pinion and install kit and see what it's going to take to get this thing installed. If it has a crush sleeve, which I think it does, then I'm going to order what they call a crush sleeve eliminator kit. And the beauty of that is it's just shims, right? And it's nice thing because the crush sleeve, once you crush it, that's it. And there is no torque spec on the pinion nut actually. But let's say you break that yoke and you got to change it out. Well, you tighten that back up and you crush that sleeve a little more. What'd you do? You just loosened up your pinion, your bearing, and it's all going to go crazy. Where with the crush sleeve eliminator, as long as those shims are in there, those two bearings can't get any closer together. It doesn't matter how much you tighten it up. It's just hard. There's it's like a pipe between two plates with a bolt through it. It's not gonna move. And that way for field service, if because I'm four-wheeling this, I'm not just highway driving it. I think that would be a better option. So that would be another week of my life waiting for parts to come in. But yeah, I don't know if they're all this way. This thing just literally fell out. I was floored. And the shims on this one go outside the bearings. The shims on the Dana 44, you got to pull the bearings off, put the shims in, push it back on, set it. So, anyways, I think that's it. Taking the pinion out, it's just a nut and a hammer, and it should just come right out. But that one, usually it's a big fight, and there's no fight at all. So anyways, that's it for today. It's actually starting to get dark, and I'm kind of tired, but it's a good day. I said it was a day of destruction, and I got this thing's torn apart. No axles, nothing in it. So I think it was a good day, and now I'm gonna go shopping and order parts, and then we'll go through how to put this sucker back together. All right, till then, see you later. Okay, well, now that we've got everything all removed, I've actually spent the last 2 hours prepping to install the differential in here. I knocked out the old pinion braces and the seal, cleaned the whole housing out of there. Now this one doesn't have any seals on the inner side. There's no inner seals here. They have outer seals, which these just came in the mail. New bearings and new seals. So I got that. So yeah, I just didn't want to do 2 hours of me swinging a sledgehammer trying to knock things out and then cleaning it and putting it back in. I mean, that's just what it takes. I've also took some time and I cleaned up this bad boy right here. So new bearings, both sides, and this is the new ring gear. So I got that done. The only thing got a note on that is that the ring gear bolts are left-handed thread, so the first time you try, you'll fail, and then you go, wait a minute, something's up on this, a little different. We're all Loctited, so I mean, anyone will show me taking off 10 bolts, cleaning it, and then putting 10 bolts back on a new ring gear, but that's all just basic mechanics work. But you know, but working on axles, if that's something you really want to do, and you think you're going to be doing it more than once in a couple of years, you can save some money after you've done it once. The kicker here is the tools. The tools, pricing, there's a lot of specialty tools. I got some in the mail. Some of them are just special to removing a seal. I have that central axle disconnect in Dana 44, Dodge Dana 44 in the front. You know, it's a seal in a box, and it's not in the housing, and it's not at the end, it's in the middle of the tube. So that takes a specialty tool, and there's two different types. So I got that on order so I can get that seal in there. There's also one for the differential, and my Dana 44 has an inner seal, and there's one, so you can get those in without messing them up. And then there's a whole host of others too. I have a case spreader. You know, it's over $100. I also have this wonderful little tool right here. This bad boy, this is what you really need right here. This pulls the bearings off your carrier and your ring and pinion. Does a great job. I got it from, I guess it's Vevor, is how you say that. These were $700. Probably Yukon Gear sells them for $700, $800. Snap-on, $1,000, whatever. It works. It's great. There's not much learning curve on it. I did use the wrong one, and you can see here I have a handful of bearing. Pulled the case off, but man, that booger did not want to come off. That was horrific. But got it off anyways when I used the right. These have little clamshells, and I used this one and it was too big, but there was one that was smaller. And once I was able to get that on there, that was a great deal. A lot less work to do. Another very inexpensive little tool, that's for checking your preload on the pinion. Dial indicator for backlash. This box is just a bunch of drivers, different sizes, and also extra long ones. Even this wasn't long. You had to do double this to knock out one of them. So, and those really didn't come in as handy, as there's a unique feature in an 8.6 is that they have little notches in the housing that allow you to just get a simple thing like an extension in there, and you hit on one side and then the other side and the other, and it actually knocked right out. I was pretty happy. But right now, let me show you something. I'm doing a setup for my pinion gear install, and what I'm doing is I'm using the old gears. Let me change something out here real quick. So what I'm doing, I'm making up setup bearings, and these are the original bearings off the pinion that was in there. They're the same bearings, and then I'm honing it out with these little cylinders here, and I just put it on the drill press, fire it up, and go around. And you can see the stuff just starts coming off. Just do this round and round. I got this thing spinning 2,500 RPMs. Mine's adjustable. And then you wipe it out. And you come over here. And you can see, so the bearing's going to go on and like this. See how it just slides on? And I'd already done some work on that one, but this one too on the bottom also slides off. But this allows you to, I'll have to do a little work on it. They kind of seize on a little bit, but I don't have to do a huge bunch of pulling to get them off. And for setting your pinion depth, the shim actually goes between the bearing and the pinion gear. So this will have to come on and off a bunch of times. And instead of risking damaging your brand new bearings, just fix these up, do all your setup on these, and then when you're done, put your new bearings in. But that's how you just hone these out so that they can slide on. I think this one's a little bit warm. That's probably why it slides on so easy. But yeah, there it goes. And so the other one probably cooled off and then it got stuck on there a little bit. So I'm going to hone this one out a little more, and then I'll have my setup bearings, and then we'll go over how I do it. Well, actually how most of the industry does it. Okay, and also getting set up to do the install. There's you have to get these things going, and for setup bearings. But the other thing you need to do has to do with the thread here. Now, this is the actual replacement pinion nut. And you see it's got this little shoulder up here and these little dents in here. So the head of this, you can actually look there. It's not round. It's malformed. But from the bottom up to here, it's, you know, threads are perfect. So I took the old nut. This thing's hot because I've been grinding it. And you see I just ground that head off. And when you do that, it's hot right now. You just thread this thing on here. Because you're going to have to take this on and off quite a few times. First to set the pinion depth, and then to set the preload, which that just goes right on. I tried to get there, it would literally just stop, and then you'd have to force it on with an impact or something. I did talk to West Coast Differential, where I bought my gear set, and they said there's no torque spec on these. Basically tight. And also this is the nut you use to crush the crush sleeve. And when I get to there, I'll show you my crush sleeve eliminator, and we'll go over how that's, I think, a much better solution. But anyways, so prep your bearings so these things can come on and off, because you're gonna have to change them here, and then on this one, this is where the shims go, and that shim's gonna determine how far in and out this thing runs. So that's gonna have to go on and off, and you don't want to do that with the brand new bearing. And for starters, this was the factory shim. Well, the shim that I took off, this isn't a factory ring. I had a ring gear or a pinion gear brake on the factory one, so I had it changed out, and then I put this Detroit locker in it. But this is the shim they used when they used the setup, so that's going to be the one I'm going to start with, and we'll go from there. So the plan is, first you want to get a little can here, and this is just differential lube, and I'm going to lube up my bearings a little bit. Because you want to see how tight they are or loose they are, and so I just want to kind of lube everything up. You're going to need this, you're going to need your washer, which goes in here, and then of course that, and then that. That's a 1 1/4 inch driver. See if it works. Yep, that's the right one. And then you want to do everything by hand, so don't no impacts, no power, no nothing. Just do it by hand, because All we're going to do is install this. There's no shims or anything, and then we're going to tighten it. And once it feels snug enough where if you try to spin it, it won't like rotate. It'll just kind of stop. And it's got some resistance, and then that'll emulate, you know, 15 inch-pounds ish, 15 to 20 inch-pounds of preload on the bearing. Because you don't do preload on the bearing first. You do that after you've set the depth and the carrier as well. That's kind of the final part of the assembly. So we're going to go ahead and put this thing in there. Okay, so I spin it hard, you just see it doesn't rip. It's got preload on it, and it's loosening up as I spin it. And just, you know, hands snugging. I'm literally holding on to the yoke and cranking the thing, so. Check to make sure it's not loose or anything. One more little tug, I think I'll do it. There we go. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So now we're going to arm wrestle the carrier in there. And this will be my first shot. I use gloves because it's just easier to hang on to things. A lot easier to hang on to things. I'll leave that. Let's see. Stand by. I think, which size is these? Okay. 18 millimeter, my friends. 18 millimeter. The question is, will I need an extension? Stand by, I need an extension. Alright. So, this one's different than a Dana because the shims actually go outside the bearings. Oh, hold on. Forgot one critical part. Stand by. All right, they have bearing raises. Try to get this thing up in there. I have you know, it's the first time I put it in. I'm not being tricky here. for the shims, I'm just using what was in there because you have no reference at all. So you got to start somewhere, so you start with what you had. So what I'm doing, I'm getting this, these bolts they're already started, and oh, battery dying. And then this guy, it's not a torque wrench, it's just a screwdriver. So it was 10, 15-inch pounds, I mean, maybe a couple of pounds, that's about. But now, see, it won't fall out, which is a plus. But here also, these shims are super thick. Real surprising. Oh, I know. I need a screwdriver. Or, maybe this will work. Okay, this is why you don't tighten those things. There you go. See all that room in there? Well, I'm not sure how to do this. Screwdriver. Dana there on the inside, and you just had to fight getting it in every time. Interesting. You know, it didn't take a lot to get this out either. What you can do is just do it tight like this. Ah. Feels like it's going to work pretty good. Well, I'm going to arm wrestle this for a bit. When I figure out the technique to put it in with the shims, I will let you know. All right, I'm back. So I went and did a little research on how to put the shims in. And there's no real magic to it, actually. I found a really good, it's like a training video. It was on a GM 8.5, 0.6, they're very similar. They look the same from the outside. And the magic tool, basically, you put the carrier in, and you put the shims in on one side. I put it on the side where the ring gear's at. And then the other side is where you start running into problems. And what happens is that the bearing race doesn't seat onto the bearing, and it wants to push out, and you need to get a tool to push it over, and the tool, the screwdriver. That was it. And how you use the screwdriver, that's the other part. And there's also various thickness of screwdriver shafts. That's the other part of it. So what you need to do is you shove the screwdriver in there, and you try to kick it in from the back, because the back of the race doesn't want to seat at all. And then you go down where the race seats against the housing, and you stick in that corner and you jam it over, and you should have a pretty good gap. And that's when you can start to put the races in there. But if the race is cocked any little bit, that's when you're going to get friction. But they'll start to slide in there. And I'll see if I can find that video, and then you can watch that and how they go about doing that. But once I I got two different thickness shafts because it depends what side you, as you move them that carrier back and forth, the thicker one may not work. So you have to go thinner, or the thinner one's too thin, the thicker one works better. It's kind of how that works. But let me also show you, you can see right here, let me turn the light on. Now, that's not installed. That's just me testing different pinion depth shims. And once I set the backlash, I do a pattern check and go from there. But this, and I'm also working on setup bearings on the pinion, so I don't have the real bearings on it. So figured out what your setup's going to be. And here's you can see I've done number 10. 10 is the last one you just saw in there, and it was way too high on the tooth. But this number 9 is the one I'm going to run with. It gives me full contact on the ring gear from the toe to the heel, which is great. And you can see that when I first started out, it was so tight, it was jamming. These carrier shims were jamming the ring and pinion together. So I finally found some stuff, and I was just going from 0345 down to 0325 to 0300, and as I went down it improved, and I thought, well, it seemed a little shallow to me, but it's hard to tell. So then I bumped it up and I went the other direction. Here's a 0445 and then a .0765, and boy, minimum contact, and it moved way into the toe of the ring gear. I mean, it was horrible, but I saw it horrible, so I know that these numbers are bad, and that actually the 0300 was actually pretty good. So then I skipped down to number 8. I did that one over again, but this time I wasn't shimming before on both sides, so I started shimming on both sides, and I got pretty good contact, got a better backlash on it. And then I went down to a .020 on the pinion depth shim, and that one improved quite a bit. And then I tried just 10,000ths here, and the backlash was a bit too tight, but even with that ring gear being way up against the pinion, you could tell that the actual hard contact was really high, and that this one was a much better option. So this is the one I'm going to go for. And so now I need to take all that apart over there, and when I take that apart, I have to, excuse the finger, set the pinion preload, because I have been doing that. Now in the kit they gave me a crush sleeve, and I don't have the crush sleeve here because I'm not planning on using it, but I'll show you what it is. So there it is. This has got the little pre-started indentation for the crush sleeve. And the problem with the crush sleeve is if you crush it too much, it's done. You got to buy another one, and it ain't going to work. So what I did is bought this crush sleeve eliminator kit. And you see that, sorry, it's in the package here. Let me open it real quick. So I did have it open. Okay. So what you have is this sleeve, and you see it's close to the thickness of the crush sleeve, but not exactly. And then they give you these shims, and you can sit there and set these shims, tighten it, check the preload. If it's kind of weird how it works. If it's too loose, then you got to say, do I add shims or take away shims? Because you got to get it to somewhere less than 20 inch-pounds, but more than 15. It's in the book. But this is a much better way to go, because if you ever have to take your yoke off, say, I've broken my yoke four-wheeling, And if you ever have to take that yoke off, there really isn't any torque spec for it actually because of this whole crush sleeve thing. But you can go ahead and put the new yoke on, tighten it up. You know, you can really muscle it. You can use an impact driver. This would crush again. That would be problematic. But this, it's not going to crush once it's bottomed out. That's it. So you're going to always manage your bearing preload with this, no matter what you decide to do with that yoke, taking it in and out. If you have a problem, and I've had problems, and I'm like, ooh, got a crush sleeve. Don't make it too tight, because you screw this up, then you're going to blow your bearings and your whole rear end, and everything gets ugly from there. Well, I thought my next cut would be to this rear end being done. As you see, no differential in it. It's not done. I was attempting to set the preload on the pinion, and I did buy, and I showed you that crush sleeve elimination kit. Strangest thing, with a 1/10,000 shim, it was too loose, and with an 8,000 shim, it was too tight. And there wasn't enough shims in the kit to get to 9,000ths or 8.5 thousandths or 9.5. I mean, I didn't have it, so there's nothing I could do unless I had a lathe that I could cut the thing down thousandths or whatever and try to wiggle it in. So I moved on to the crush sleeve. You see it's got the little indentation on that. Well, that didn't work out too well either. Let me show you why. So you're supposed to, it says right in instructions, big wrench. I mean, really big wrench, like not a 1/2 inch long handled wrench. You need probably a 3/4 drive wrench on that sucker, because it's in a 3-foot handle. I mean, it's 250 plus foot-pounds, and even that is not enough to break it to start crush. After it starts to crush, it's supposed to get a little easier. But you can use an impact, and I used an impact, and you can see the threads on that. Yep, all galled up. In fact, right here, you can see the threads stuck in the pinion threads from the nut. Most of the threads on the nut are gone. They're all gone, and I got some of them out. So anyways, called my guy. He said, well, see if you can chase those threads out. And I says, fine. So I bought a die for that. It's a 7/8 14 pitch. And I also ordered some grade 8 nuts for that, hoping that it'll be a stronger nut, because I still need to get this thing to go. So this part of the project is dead until the mail. I'm waiting on mail. So I'm going to move on today to the front end. And this has been in process for a while. Let's see. There we go. Gotta get my light. So what I've done, you see right here, brand new seal. And there's a tool that you use to put that seal in, and it is awesome. And if you're going to do any of this work, you just buy that tool. I don't remember what I paid for it. It was just a necessary evil. And there's some specialty tools out there that work, but there's the tool. There's the instructions. And this is just to put these, press these things in. This one will work for a Dana 30, 44, and a Dana 60. So this side is for the Dana 30 and Dana 44, and then because you have bigger axles, this is a bigger one side. You flip this thing around in the Dana 60, and then this end over here, that pushes on the opposite side, and of course it just nice and gently, as you see right here, turn the wrench, just pops that sucker right in there. And it was super easy, no damage. So that's specialty tool there that you're gonna probably want to get if you're gonna do this kind of work. And there's another specialty tool. Let me show you that. This is specific to a Dodge. Let me see if I can get in here. Hold on. There it is. There it is. See on this side, and I've just got it started. So that's the seal for a Dodge with the central axle disconnect. And so the seal's on all that. All I gotta do is turn that bolt, and it'll start to press that right in, and then the other side just pushes up against the tube, and it gets it done. There are other tools that go all the way through the axle and out, but I saw that one, and I thought, I didn't take up a lot of space in my toolbox. I like that idea. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and today we're gonna put this thing back together. As long as I don't have disasters. I seem to be running into disasters. So I'm gonna push that seal in. The hardest part is gonna be getting this differential back in there, because it is a tight fit, and I really don't want to put the case spreader on, because that thing tries to kill me. It's 38 pounds. But if I can get in there without it, great. If I can't, then I'll put it on and struggle through that, and then everything else should be pretty easy. So I'll let you know how it goes. See you in a few. Okay, here we are again. I managed to about a 7/8 14 die, and I was able to chase the threads out on the pinion, fix them. And I bought a this bad boy. That's a 7/8 14 grade 8 nut, and I use this to do all the setup. See, it's all marked up and stuff from hammering on it. I had no further problems with the threads on it at all. The other thing I was able to do was actually avoid using the crush ring. So I had my setup bearings, which are the original bearings on the old ring pinion. And when I put the new bearings on the pinion, you know, and it's, the first one's press fit, and the second one goes on pretty tight, but those bearings are just slightly different size. And so I had to do a little work on the carrier shims to get the backlash. But you can see that, you know, that bad boy, it is in there now. And I did a preload with the shims on this side. So I always start with the shims on this side, put the caps on so they don't fall out, and then stick the screwdriver in there, get the race to get over enough to get the shim started. And if you can get them within, you know, inch, 3/4 of an inch in there, then I use a brass hammer and a little brass drift to try to tap them in, and then I got my nice preload. And the cool thing was once I got this all set up, and I didn't have the preload on the pinion, I just had it tight, and didn't put in this guy. I got backlash with 7.5 thousandths. I was like, that's really good. And then I took it all apart and set the preload on there using the crush sleeve eliminator kit. This time around, I was able to get this back in here, and my backlash was right at 7.5 thousandths, so nothing moved. So the pattern came in really nice, and I can show you the pattern here, but I'm actually have pictures of it, so we'll put those pictures in so you guys can take a look at what my final pattern is on the drive side and as well as the coast side.